So for this task, we're going to be doing a modified knots test. We have our EDTA purple top tube freshly collected blood. We have our 2% formalin, which is very hazardous, so we want to make sure that we're taking all the necessary precautions with it. And then we don't have a 15 milliliter tube, which is what we would usually use. We only have an 11 milliliter tube. So we did the math and we are going to adjust our portions. So it's usually 1 milliliter of blood to 10 milliliters of formalin. We're going to do 6 milliliters of formalin to 0.6 mils of blood. So we'll do that now. So we'll do our formalin first. And you can see our lines there. Okay, so we have our 6 milliliters, and then we will take our 0.6 milliliters of our blood. There we go. We'll add that in. And then we will mix our sample by inverting it gently. And then what we're going to do is centrifuge it for 5 minutes. And then we'll go to our next step. So put that in. Make sure that it is balanced. Okay, so now that our sample is done centrifuging, we will very carefully decant our supernate. So, again, that's it over here. And we want to be careful not to disturb our blood on the bottom, so we just want to very carefully Okay, so then we're left with this. So we'll go back to our other side. So now what we'll do is add a drop of our new methylene blue stain with our pipette. And then we'll use our pipette to kind of mix that together. Once we've got our mixture, we will take a drop and put it onto our slide. And now we'll take a look at it under our microscope and we'll look for Diagnostics and dipetalonema. Okay, so now we have our sample with our cover slip on it. So what we'll do is we'll place it onto our microscope. And get it into view. We're going to look at it under our 10 power. So we've got to get it focused. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're going to look at our slide in a zigzag pattern, and we'll be looking for our Diagnostics or our dipetalonema. and we'll explain how to tell the difference between those. So not seeing anything so far, but again, it's important to look at the entire slide so we're making sure we're not missing anything. And while this, our parasites would be moving if this were a direct smear, for this method, they would be stationary. Not seeing anything. And we don't see a ton of heartworm cases up here, which is good for us, although we have started to see more now that we're getting more people adopting dogs from southern shelters. Okay, so we've viewed our sample. No Dirofilaria or Dipetalonema. And we will now explain with a chart what those would look like if they were present and how to tell the difference between them. Okay, so now that we've done our modified Knots test, we are going to take a look at the similarities and differences between Dirofilaria, which is heartworm, and Dipetalonema, which I don't say often, which is a much less concerning find. So they do look very similar. So it's important to be able to differentiate between the two. So we'll take a look first at our Dirofilaria, which is our heartworm. So you'll usually see these in larger numbers under the microscope. They also the body tends to be thicker, as you can see here, and they tend to stain darker. So if you compare that to this one, it's a bit lighter, the body is a little bit thinner. You can also take a look at the head, which is up here. The head for the Dirofilaria is going to be kind of more of a tapered head, whereas on our other ones, it doesn't really taper. It's more of kind of just a blunt head. You also can tell by you can tell the difference by the kind of straightness of the Dirofilaria. When you compare it to our other one, you kind of have this hooked tail. So that's kind of another giveaway that it's not the same thing. On our modified Knots test, these will be stationary. They won't be moving, as opposed to like a direct smear. So Dirofilaria is spread through mosquitoes. That's how we get heartworm disease. Whereas our Dipetalonema is spread by fleas. So as we know, heartworm is very serious, could be fatal in some cases. On the other hand, our other one is not super concerning, doesn't seem to have any really negative or harmful effects to the animal. So we'd much rather be seeing this on our modified Knots test than our Dirofilaria. But there is, again, a shot of the two of them, and that's how we would differentiate between the two.